Hello and welcome to another Patreon Q&A with God is a Geek.
So I don't necessarily take lots of notes when reviewing. I tend to spend a good few hours playing and get a general feel for it. If there are some standout moments, then I'll jot that down, make sure that gets in the review. Something that really made me feel that the game excels somewhere, clearly make a note of that. Other games which are a bit more complex, which require a lot of gameplay mechanics like RPGs, that kind of thing, I'll take quite a lot of notes heavily on how that works. There are certain games where, like the game I recently reviewed called That's You, it's a quiz game, a party game that there's barely anything to it. A lot of that can be done from memory, but still always important to take notes, make sure that you've got a clear idea of what you want to say in your review.
No, I don't take notes when reviewing a game. I've just never really felt the need to. I've got a terrible memory, but for some reason I can remember. I mean, let's be honest, unless it's some brand new mechanic, then even then, I don't know, I find it difficult to describe. In fact, there's one exception to that rule. Haven't done it for a while, but I used to take notes when reviewing Telltale games, just because they're so story heavy that I would want to. I'd want to just jot down some names and details, just purely because I always feel it important not to spoil those games, you know.
For me, it's not always about the score, it's about what's written. So it's always good to kind of make sure you know what your point is and make sure you get your point across.
Generally, I'll just when I feel like depends on the kind of game, I'll just sit down and just write it out, just bash it straight out. It's usually stream of consciousness. That's how I write. I think most people do, probably. I don't try and squeeze clever words in. I don't try and make people think I'm smarter than I am. It's just I very much believe that there's nothing wrong with big words, but also, like, if someone has to Google a word to find out what it is, who you're writing for, you know. I mean, part of you is always writing for yourself. At the same time, you kind of what your job is to get it across to an audience in a succinct way. And I try to be entertaining, try and be a little bit funny. I always try and get something in there, whether it's a strap pun or just something in the body of the text. We've got to get a bit of a joke in there, but no notes for me.
I take as many as I feel that game needs. Every game's different, but I do take quite a bit of notes because I don't want to miss anything. And there's a hell of a lot of games which require a lot of time to process what's going on, so it's easy to try to translate that through the review so that people know.
So, God is a Geek is a name I have nothing to do with. It was before I was a part of the site. While I'm in control nowadays of everything editorially, the owner of the site is Calvin Robinson, and he basically, with a group of lads, I think from uni, decided it was just a cool name for a website, and that is pretty much it. I don't think there's any deeper meaning. It was not a religious site. We used to get a lot of emails about that, actually, like, oh, how can you be a religious site? Like, if you ever watched any video, certainly back when Colin Mahone was with us, of myself and him in a video and the amount of swearing, like, if you thought we were a religious site, I don't really know what to tell you. Well, obviously you don't. You're watching this, you don't think we're a religious site, but yeah, no, just a cool name that the owner came up with when it started.
So for me, 7 is a good score. I don't always think it's necessarily about the score. I don't agree with people skipping to the score, going, oh, 6, 7 must be a bad game, leave it. As a reviewer, it's more important to get the words right than anything else. If people just rely solely on what that score says, then they've not got much of an open mind. I think you read the review, read what the bad things are, read what the good things are, and make your decision from that.
As for 7 out of 10 being average, again, don't agree. I would not give a game I thought was average a 7 out of 10. For example, again, talking about individual opinions, like we have reviewed ARMS, and Ryan King covered it for us. That was, I think he gave it a 9 out of 10. Personally, I give it probably a 6.5, maybe a 7 if I was feeling generous, because I don't think it's as amazing. I think it's a good game with some limitations.
There's a lot of good games that are a 7, and again, not everyone has to agree with that when games come out. people may give it a 9, people may think much highly of it than others. It's just one person's opinion. Game reviewers think 7 is a good score because it can be a good score, and I guess that's all it really is. Don't necessarily just judge the score of a review. Read it and kind of appreciate the words of what's said.
But God is Geek's average is X. But again, the issue with that is 10 people all reviewing multiple games, and the review goes up that's a 9 out of 10, but someone else will think is a 4 out of 10. It's great when games get disparate scores like that, but the review is the review. It doesn't mean that everyone on the site agrees with it. So saying God is a Geek is an average of 7 or whatever, that doesn't mean the average is 7. It just means that our average is 7.
In no particular order, I think Horizon Zero Dawn is definitely in the top 3. Nier Automata is definitely in the top 3, and What Remains of Edith Finch. However, there are other games that have come out this year that are excellent as well, and it's hard to just try and narrow that down. Yakuza 0 is great.
Breath of the Wild is probably the one, I think, at the moment. I just, that game, there's something about that game that I just keep going back to and having a little go on it now and again. It's just probably the best open world I've ever experienced, because I never felt pressured into anything. I was only talking the other day to someone and saying that, the thing about that is, if you want to, when you start the game, you can go straight to the boss and complete the game. It's difficult, but you could do it. Or you could spend, and I spent like 20 hours reviewing it before going, do you know what, I suppose I better do another one of the main chambers sort of thing, and I went and did them all, and then I stopped again and went off and did some more exploring, and then by the time 30 hours had passed and I was getting towards my own personally imposed deadline, I thought, I better finish this game, just to make sure, it didn't even matter, but just to make sure the story doesn't, destroy itself at the end. And I just think that game is, I like Zelda games, and my favourites have always been the 2D ones, but there's something magical about Breath of the Wild that I think is probably the best Zelda game, and I would find hard pushed to say a better game this year. So far, there are more coming.
Think if I'd had a Switch, Zelda would easily be up there. Saying that as well, you've got ARMS, which has just come out, which is a lot of fun for a lot of people. Mario Odyssey at Christmas time. It's a great year, but the reason I prefer Horizon, the visuals were stunning, the gameplay was excellent. There was a lot of different ways to take down enemies. I like that. I like you have to think on your feet, and everyone's different. There's different weaknesses, strengths to them. I think the world is just true open world. You can go walk from one end of the map to the other end of the map without any stops or anything like that. Anything not allowing you to do that. There's no load screens. It's just immaculate visually. I think Aloy is a great character. She was strong. She has a great story. I think her story with her father at the start was something really special, and the fact he lets her go. I won't say any more just in case you've not played it, but Horizon Zero Dawn is certainly worth you playing it. Nier Automata, wow. Everything from the music, the art style, the story, the weirdness, the quirkiness, the fact that there's androids. The theme park, if you've played it, is my favourite bit. It's the theme park when you walk in and all the androids are kind of celebrating a birthday or celebrating something. Well, they're androids. What's going on? They're supposed to be void of any kind of emotion or feeling. So why would they be celebrating anything? Why would they feel the need to be happy? Who knows? But yeah, definitely that. I think that was designed sensationally.
Nier Automata is incredible. Again, it's the game I most want to go back to. I continuously find myself thinking, if I just had a bit more time, I could go back and do another playthrough. Like, it's just so clever. You finish that game for the first time and you're impressed with it, and there's been some amazing boss battles, and it's a cool game. But it's only when you hit that second playthrough you realise the genius behind it. Like, it's just a phenomenal game. There's just so much going on with it. I don't even think the combat is Platinum's best, but it's just, there's something about everything going on, everything kind of meshing. It's just so special, so unique, and I'm really pleased that game sold well.
What Remains of Edith Finch, I think, is one of the greatest stories ever told in video games. I think right from the intro, where you're introduced to all these bedrooms of the people that had died in the house that are all related to Edith. The big plot twist at the end was excellent. The way it deals with death, and it teaches us to celebrate it rather than, you know, dwell in the sorrow of it all. It's very, very well done. And you know, I got a chance to interview the game director, Ian Dallas from Giant Sparrow, and he had some really good stories to tell, so I suggest you search that out. But you know, there's a lot of thought and a lot of care gone into that, and it was, it really hit me hard. And yeah, that's definitely one.
Resident Evil 7, Injustice 2, terrific game. Neo, brilliant game. I mean, Persona 5, but that would have to go on a list of, like, you know, best games I wish I had time to finish. Like, I love Persona, but I just can't find that amount of time. I desperately want to, but
they're all flooding back to me now. Injustice 2, that was a great game. Tekken as well. You know, fighting games this year have been really good, and we'll see how Marvel Capcom comes out. But yeah, great year so far. Looking forward to see how it ends.
it's weird for me because two of my very favourite games this year aren't technically out. They're in early access, and that would be PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, or PUBG as all the cool kids are calling it, and Dead Cells. Like Dead Cells, I really hope Dead Cells hits like 1.0, you know, it's released this year. And also, like, that needs to come to consoles and Switch, because Dead Cells on Switch is me finished. Like, that is perfect for Switch. It's not graphically intensive, and it's just, I mean, that game is just such an amazing game. And I just, every now and again I pop back to it and they've updated it. Like, I actually played it yesterday and they've updated it, and it's just, I wonder when they'll go, we're done, this is the release, you know, version. We'll go from here. We'll start developing for other platforms or whatever. And the same with PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, which I think will be a Game of the Year contender because it's going to be officially released this year. I think on both PC and probably Xbox One, if that's not in the preview program alone. There you have it. Probably a longer Q&A video than was intended, but way overdue. We want to do more of these, so send us your questions. You can do it on Twitter if you want, you know, it doesn't really matter, @GodIsAGeek, or just directly to myself, @GBSF, or Chris, FirstAvenger83. Try and get some of the other team to answer them, make them a bit more interesting because there's more of us talking. That is it. Thank you ever so much for supporting us. Thank you very much for your comments, questions, blah blah blah. We haven't answered them all here. There's stuff that it's like, there was one about Vagrant Story. I've played that. I can't remember anything about it other than it being probably an RPG on PS2 era. I literally can't remember. And then Chris hasn't played it. So thank you very much, as always, for your lovely support, and stay tuned to GodIsAGeek.com.